public show and tell of the Open Referral UK beta project. As usual, the aim is to update you with our progress and hear your thoughts and feedback on the progress. We have a packed agenda for you, including a recap of the vision and the plan, and demonstration of the website and design so far. We'll also update you on the communications and engagement work that we've been doing, as well as the work on governance. But before we jump in, just a brief introduction to the organizations doing the work, ourselves, Snook, and our partner Pourism. Snook is a research, design, and digital agency working mainly in the public and third sectors. And in 2019, we conducted the discovery work around open community. We'll show you a little roadmap of what's happened since then in a minute. We're now working on this beta with our partner Pourism. I'll pass to Mike from Pourism now.
Yeah, and we're more of a techie company that's been working with local government since around 2000, helping them share and use data, particularly open data. We're partners to the Local Government Association and run for them the local LG Inform Plus suite of tools that process a couple of billion items of UK open public data, and we help councils publish their own data.
Cool. So this is just me talking a little bit about who's part of our project team. So on the Snook and Pourism side, these are the, we have, I think most people here on the call. So the project team from Snook comprises of multidisciplinary interaction designers, communications designers, and a team of developers and content design, user research. You can see it all here. And then on the Pourism side, Mike and Dom, who's not on the call today, who's another full stack developer. And then the team that we've been working with, our partners on this project. So we're working with Paul Brewer from Ada and Worthing, Nick Parker from Leeds City Council, and also now Toby Page, who's taking over Nick Parker's work at Leeds, Ben Unsworth from Essex, Chris Thorpe from CAST, so that's our third sector partner, and they're doing some complementary research and work around getting the voluntary sector to contribute data that's part of conforming to the standard. Paul Davidson, who I can see is on the call, both from Sedgemoor District Council, but also the director of iStand UK. Matt Woodhill, also on the call from MHCLG, who's funding this project, and then Tim Adams from the LGA. So anyone there that you know that you'd like to get into contact with the project, they've been working very closely with us. And now I'll just hand over to Mike. I think you're the one talking about the project so far and what is Open Referral UK, all that important stuff.
Yeah, and apologies to those of you who've heard this before. We get new people every time, so this is a bit of a recap for some of you and new for others. Essentially, you start by looking at what Open Referral UK is. So we're saying it's a consistent way of recording and sharing information about services. By services, we often call these human services, not web services. So we're thinking about things like care at home, bicycle maintenance, meditation, women's support groups, a whole gamut of things, particularly of interest to local government and the NHS, because often they're looking to direct people more to these services provided by private or voluntary groups and charities rather than to their own public sector funded, more clinical or more targeted services, which are possibly less appropriate for many things like loneliness or just getting people out and about more. Why do we need a common standard? Well, at present, there are hundreds of directories of services across the public sector and voluntary groups in the UK. It's not unusual for a council to have more than 10 of these. They are built for different purposes. They are inconsistent with one another, and often people don't trust others, so they create their own rather than share those directories. information is typically held in a way that is hard to share, and there's a lot of effort that's wasted in gathering duplicate or overlapping sets of data. And as a result, you've got to go many places, and it can often be very hard to find the right services for a particular problem. This is particularly a problem for public sector organisations like NHS people who want to prescribe socially services but can't trust the data on hand without having to look it up themselves. So we need to address that problem. So Open Referral UK as a data standard aims to reduce those inefficiencies by letting us gather the data once and check its completeness and its validity rather than have it in multiple places. And if it's in a consistent format, we can run a consistent set of tools to check how rich it is and check how complete it is. And we can share it across multiple applications, so different applications can use the same data, and we can share it across geographical boundaries. So we can build up a full picture of services and compare that with needs in particular communities. And by putting the data out in an open and consistent format, we enable software developers and a whole host of innovators to do interesting things with it. So not just service finders and social prescribing tools, but a variety of other things such as tools which help monitor service provision against need and see who's doing what out there in the community. Open Referral UK is not something that's invented out of thin air. It has a long pedigree going back to 2014 when the Open Referral standard was founded in the USA, and there are many worthy projects that are using that and have been using it since then. I was on a call to someone in New York earlier in the week who uses it in various communities in New York State. And there are lots of examples around the world, principally in North America, that use the Open Referral standard. And in 2017, the LGA developed a parallel, rather simpler spreadsheet standard for sharing services data and learned a lot of lessons from that. And they were reflected in that Open Community Discovery report that was mentioned at the start, done by Snook in 2019-20, which identified that Open Referral was probably a good base point for a standard in the UK. So LGA's work with DCMS on identifying services for loneliness in 2020 took Open Referral UK and added various formal extensions to it to meet the needs in the UK that weren't fully met by the international standard. So we now have a formal extension to Open Referral, which covers Open Referral, which is called Open Referral UK, and is largely similar to Open Referral, but adds extra bits, some of which have subsequently been adopted by the international community. That standard was used in Buckinghamshire for their Family Services Directory, and it's been implemented by a variety of service directory providers, particularly PlaceCube, FutureGov and Public Consulting Group, and people such as Vidavir and Doc&T. Commercial providers develop service finders that use that. And there's a company called WellAware that is familiar with gathering and validating data according to that standard. So now we've had all these individual projects. We've got the Open Community Beta site, which brings together that learning to help people adopt the standard in a more structured way. And we're drawing on that experience in this project to see how we make sure the standard can be supported long term.
Cool, thank you, Mike. I'm just going to talk a bit about the project vision and how we're going to kind of what we're doing in this project. So what we're going to be producing in the beta. So we've split the work up into three strands. Well, first one is ensuring that there's some form of compelling digital presence that our users, our kind of audience can onboard with easily. So that's because that is one of the determining quite a key factor in this. The second one is not just what we're doing, but ensuring that something happens after the delivery of this work as well. So some form of continuous communication and engagement plan that we can kind of get that buy-in during the project, but also set up some form of structure that can continue after the delivery as well. And then there is also, we also want to make sure there's some form of governance structure as well to maintain this and just keep it kind of healthy, and also something that is kind of quite lightweight as well to stop kind of it being complicated and hopefully increase and improve the chances of adoption. And the next slide is just a bit about where we are in the project. This is our project plan. We're coming to the end of sprint 5. We've gone through a few. We've done some development. We've spoken to quite a few users now in terms of concept testing. We're now in the build, test, and iterate form part of the project. There are user testing sessions taking place, online and some kind of virtual ones as well on Zoom, just to get feedback on the work we're doing, just so we can continue to iterate the website that we're developing.
Okay, so I think this is me to talk very briefly about the websites. I'll share my screen if that's okay. This will start. Let me know if this is visible. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we have been working. Oh, sorry, this is actually my local host. I've just realised. We have been working on a live site this week, which has been quite exciting. So there's two sides to the project, as there are many projects. There's like a back-end side, which we're treating we're treating the CMS as a back-end, so like the place where the content's going to get stored. And in the past week, our content designer on the project, Anne, has had access to this and has kind of like made a wee start on bringing some things together. So we're working from like a slight, but I guess like we're kind of playing catch up with the wireframes and the design stuff, which is going to get spoken about next. But we are kind of developing these kind of like basic structures from the initial wireframes that we got before they were colored or before there was anything else like that coming into it. So yeah, we're working on a deployed React app, which is looking like this just now. So I think last week maybe only had one page. Now there's like quite a few pages on the go. So yeah, the kind of structures here in terms of for the content to get uploaded and for things to come in. And we've got like, an about page, a how it works page, community page. So this is like, there's a few kind of like repeating types of things here. Like we have these kind of article type pages, which still need a bit of work. The contact page is what I'm working on today, and that's going to be another article type page. But yeah, we're basically just working through the different designs we've been given. And I think that next up, you're going to get a bit of an insight into how those designs are kind of progressing. And yeah, we're just kind of working through those things. Yeah, the content's coming together, the front end's coming together. I think that we're in a good place. I think I said at one of these a few weeks ago that like we had done something that didn't look that impressive, but we were in this kind of place to start like iterating and developing on that. And I feel like, yeah, we're starting to reap the benefits of that in this last week. I don't think I've got anything else to show just now, unless other people want me to show anything else. Oh, okay. I'll just pass over to design then in that case.
Thanks, Niall. Yeah, let me share my screen and I'll give you a quick walkthrough of where we're up to with the design. So as Niall mentioned, there's a couple of different strands. One of those being the wireframe. So this is what we've been working on to then run user testing sessions to make sure that our kind of general direction for the website is correct, and also that the content is kind of what meeting user needs essentially. So very briefly, what we've got is like a home page with a kind of initial statement about what is this thing, And then the homepage kind of breaks down a bit of an overview of the different sections of the website and some of those key points to hopefully get people's attention and get them reading a bit more about the standard. Part of that is this kind of highlighted section around who is currently using the standard. So as Mike mentioned, there is already this community around. So a big part of the website is servicing that community and then allowing people to join that community. So very briefly, the website kind of comprises of some kind of further information about what actually is this thing. And some of this, it's mostly aimed at the kind of less technical side. So we're not assuming that people already know all about data standards when they come here, because a key part of this is we need to be able to explain all of this to people who aren't already deep into data standards, so that we can get everybody on board. And then we have a section around how it works. So in here, we've got steps to adopt Open Referral UK. So that's a breakdown if you want to embark on adopting this in your area, how you'd go about that. So we've got some kind of draft content around this and the basic steps there. And then features of the standard. So kind of what actually is inside the standard, and it's these sorts of things. So you can record various attributes against services, and we kind of go into a little bit of detail just so that everyone understands really what is in here. And then primarily the community section is one of the most important
Amanda?
parts.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think your screen has frozen. For me and at least Niall,
Screen
it's
sharing
still
is
on the
not-
homepage.
Oh no.
If you just maybe stop sharing and try it again, maybe that might work.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if it was just me, so I wasn't sure for someone else for shouting out.
Wondering if you're
Um,
sharing a different tab. There we go.
Oh, it's back. Is it back?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
I moved it around on my on a different screen and didn't realize the implications. Okay, so yeah, very briefly, how it works section, and we've got a little breakdown of steps to adopt, and we're hoping to have this for various use cases, because those steps to adopt are different for depending on your situation and whether you're a software provider or a council or other. And then breakdown of what are the features of the standard, what is actually contained in the standard, but in not a super technical language. And then the community section, so super important. This is where we can see who's already using Open Referral. We have the idea of a community forum that we're exploring, and we've got some questions around that in a minute. Case studies, which we keep hearing is one of the most important parts. That's why it's featured prominently on the homepage as well. Information about who is behind this initiative, and then join our community. So this page allows anybody who's interested to see kind of what are the different ways that you can get involved. So that ranges from just signing up to a newsletter to kind of keep in the loop, to joining our community forum, and then actually registering your organization as a kind of an interested organization. And it's that then fuels kind of that community page. And then right through to submitting case studies and getting involved in the more technical side. So maybe submitting issues via GitHub to the actual standard itself. Fairly standard contact page with some information that is yet to be defined. But then I was going to also show you, as we've been working on this, we've been user testing these wireframes and getting feedback. We're now in this phase where we're working on the visual design. So here, I'll give you a quick run through of how that's shaping up. So you can see here that it's the homepage, and we've got the visual style applied to this homepage. And you can see that kind of general elements of the color and spacing and typography and things are all come together, added to those wireframes. And we're also looking at how this works on mobile. So from a development point of view, it makes sense to build things mobile first. Helps with accessibility. So there you go. And then this is kind of, we have various page templates, as Niall was mentioning. And so this is a landing page. You should hopefully recognize this. It's pretty much based on the wireframes, but we can see starting to bring that design in so that it feels a bit more real. And that's on mobile as well. And then just a basic content page. You can see how once we start to bring in the visual design, that it's just a more kind of an easier reading experience. And that's kind of obviously very important. And then this join our community page, you can see how this is starting to come together with the actual styles applied as well. And I will hand over now to Chia, who's been working on some of the other page designs. So I'll stop sharing now and let her give you a view of those as well.
Thank you, Ananda.
Perfect.
I think, can you see my screen?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
Give me a second. Sorry, this is the awkward moment in. Oh no. Okay. Ananda, can you keep sharing your screen in the pages layer?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
I have a technical issue here. I think next page.
Yeah. So the next page. There we go.
Yeah. So as you can see, here's like case studies. Ananda mentioned which belong under the community, and we based on different sector like service provider or software provider and like end user and like local authority. We can have different category of the case study. And you can click the first one, adopting the use Open Referral UK. This one, yes. So this is the page about the case study. And as you can see, we can like break down as a case study, have different parts. And you can go down like this, a title, and we can have some visual because we know some picture might be optional if they have some image, screenshot, but we can have some visual instead. And we want to highlight this like a benefit about adopting Open Referral UK. Like what's the benefit for your organization in this case study. And also we want to display like what's the process, what's kind of challenge and the problem they face in the same time. And also the process, how they're adapting, and also what's kind of impact get from Open Referral UK, and the quotes like from user, what's their idea when they're adapting the process and the lesson they learned. And in the end, you can see like if you're more interested about this case study, you can contact this person or reach out organization. And we have like a link to other case study. And if for the user, if you want to have other case study you want to share to OI UK, you can just click the link to contact us. I think this is a page of the case study we have so far. And I think can click to the next page, Ananda. So next one is about in the community page. We already have this part in the homepage, but here in this page, you can see like who's actually adapting, and you can see our partners, different organization. And in the community partner, we have breakdown like different section, like who have adopt this standard. And this is a organization name and what's kind of like case study they have, or what's kind of, if they provide like the way to contact them, you can reach out here. And you can see another section like who in the process adopting the standard and how to contact this organization and who they are here. And also we have shown that list about who are considering, as you can see, and what other organization they transfer this public feed, and also the section supplier and developers as here. So in this page, you can see clearly like who is involved in this community. Yeah, and I think this is a part I share, and I think outside, can you share your screen and we can start have the design discussion.
Yeah. Cool. So now is the point where we want to get feedback from you on everything that's been shown.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so we just showed the designs. I don't know if you guys wanted to lead through this, or I can.
Yeah, I can jump.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead, Chia.
Thanks, Elsa. So based on we give a tour of our website, we are interested to know what kind of impression you get from Open Referral UK by the visual design part, and you can type on the chat, like share your idea here, and or you want to open your mic, it's okay. This is like interactive part. Anyone have any idea, or maybe just some word, like top 3 word pop in your mind when you see the website and think about OR UK, what's linked to you? Okay. Look, is there any thoughts? Everyone is so nice. Okay, so we have some comment here, and we'll move down to the next page, Elsa. And based on what friend Ananda showed and the pages, the visual page we showed to you, is anything else you could expecting to see the website, or you think something you want to see but you haven't seen in the website? And here again, like free to type your comment in the chat, and also like maybe share your thoughts, like just unmute yourself. Okay, this is so. Anita, you want to reply the logo part?
Yeah, so it's something we're still working on, but we do have this kind of work in progress that was included in the designs. It's essentially the Open Referral International logo with the little UK on the side. I can share again if need be.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that. If you flew past that, I would like to see that again, because I think logos and brands is all about getting it in people's minds and driving up adoption. And
well, there's some good feedback in the chat.
Stealing the
yeah, go ahead.
sharing there. Yeah, so you can see it's in the top left here. So we have our own thoughts on including a flag, basically, whether we should or not. So that'd also be useful if anyone has any thoughts. I don't know if I can kind of, yeah, I can zoom into that a bit more. If anyone has any thoughts on kind of if they think it works or not, or what sort of feeling it gives them.
so it's Paul. I think that the Open Referral US, the main brand is nice. That is quite iconic, and putting the UK on is good. The flag, my gut feeling is no to the flag, not because I don't like the flag, but because I don't think it scales up to any other country. In that, if you wanted to have Open Referral France or something, well, the flag, wouldn't work in those colours. So that's my feeling on that.
Fair enough.
But I think what you've got there does work as a thing people will remember and can be used on comms material.
Cool.
I got a question from Matt about some images. Do you have any feedback about more specific, like which page you like to see more image, or you think which part we should have more image or picture in the website?
I don't have direct feedback on that. I suppose when I'm looking at the homepage, I appreciate the icons that you have on those some of those main buttons at the beginning, if you like. It just strikes me, especially when I think back to how visually impressive the Open Active homepage is that some of those images just help bring things to life a bit more. But I appreciate that, you know, this is still in the kind of the MVP stage. So just curious what the plan is there and what other people's take on that would be.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, we will of course have a review about the website, about the visual here. I saw another question from Simon. Does the site contain technical detail about implementing the standard? Is anyone can pick up this question to answer?
Yeah, so I can say that there is a current kind of Open Referral UK website, which essentially does have all of that technical information. So what we've been focusing on is the more kind of background and understanding and less technical explanation and kind of rationale. But the plan is to port over all of that actual specification and documentation onto the new site. So you may or may not have noticed in the main header there is a section there for documentation and tools, and it's essentially the technical guidance will go there.
That's really useful. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Isa. So if there's not much comment, we will move on to next page. So a forum feature is kind of like a discussion topic we have since we have the first show and tell, and we are kind of like developing on this one. And as you can see, this is an example from Strapi. You can see in this forum, they have a lot of category and engage with different member users. So this is just an example about what we can have this kind of forum in the OR UK. And next page. So we have a last question I want to ask about feedback is like, we would like structure the forum with these categories, and what kind of maybe topic or what kind of thing you would like to discuss on the forum if you see there's a forum in the OR UK website, or what kind of topic will be useful for you and you're interested to engage to have a discussion. If anyone want to share your thoughts, feel free to unmute yourself and share to us directly. It's okay too. I think something like Q&A or maybe like top 5 question could be useful. But I think everyone have different need and different topic want to discuss.
Hi folks. So just having a think about some of the stuff when we were trying to do this in Buckinghamshire as one of the early adopters. I guess some of the kinds of things that might be helpful would probably be around yeah, who do I talk to get help on this? There are a lot of questions, both technical and non-technical, around convincing people this is a good idea, the nuts and bolts of implementing it, and so on. So conversations, you know, with people who can help troubleshoot and solve problems is probably a good one. I think there was something about the right phrasing for this, but how do you make other people care about it? So, you know, for those outside of the kind of nuts and bolts of how data flows through organizations, it's quite tricky sometimes, as we've talked about before, to get this on everyone's agenda. So I think conversations about how we demonstrate the value to people who maybe you know, don't want to spend the time understanding all of the detail, but need the kind of elevator pitch stuff around it, and building momentum would be useful as well.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Is anyone have any thoughts to share? I mean, I saw there's a few nice idea in the comment as well. I'm aware about time, so I think I'm going to head over to next section.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gia. So Robin, you're next.
Hello, nice to see you all. Can you pop over to the next slide? Fab. So we are getting our comms and engagement pack to a stage where we would then like to share wider to get some feedback to ensure we're not missing anything when we pass this over at the end of the project. And today we're going to talk to you about target audiences and open the floor for a bit of discussion. Again, you can use the chat or unmute when the time is right. So our target audiences consist of local authorities, national bodies, and software suppliers. So today we'd like to ask you some questions to further understand some of the key roles we should be listing in the pack and how best to connect and engage with these audiences. We'll go through these one by one just to keep the answers focused and organized for when we're working after this. So our first one, we have local authorities. So who and what are the key roles within local authorities and how do you suggest we reach them? You can unmute or use the chat for this.
So I think it would be helpful also just to know the roles of some of the people in this room who are in local authorities, because the fact that you're attending this webinar means you're probably a good type of person to talk to and reach out to about the standards. So maybe that's a good place to start.
Okay, so from Sedgemoor District Council, I'm here because this is a part of a bigger digital transformation. But it's a very necessary component, but it's in itself, it's not just a standalone piece of thinking for us, and it's also very much something that joins up the tiers of local government. We happen at the moment to be in 2 tiers of local government. We've got a district and a county, but it's the same customers and the same services that we're all trying to reference. So it's a joining up thing for us as well. It's about giving people better self-service, but it's also about empowering our frontline officers who are trying to make referrals as professionals out. So there's an audience here that's about those that are trying to just transform the whole place-based public services, as well as those that are particularly interested in this more vertical area.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say you're kind of directors of digital data and technology. Sometimes they're one person, sometimes they're 2 or 3 people. So those are folks you would want to talk to around the kind of strategic implementation of this. And then at the service level, I've worked with colleagues in family information services, sometimes called local offer teams or special educational needs and disabilities teams. We're all structured slightly differently, and we'll keep things in different places. But those folks typically look after a lot of the service level data. And similarly with colleagues in adult social care, quite often there's an early help intervention prevention team in adult social services. And they deal with referring people to community-based services and have quite a strong vested interest in this kind of data and in how it works. So they would be good folks from a service perspective as well. One more that just jumps to mind immediately, colleagues who work in kind of physical activity, health and well-being, bit of a crossover with things like Open Active here, but again, there's a lot of data kind of knocking around local government organisations around kind of health, well-being, fitness and physical activity type services. And typically there are teams that have a responsibility for doing that and will be managing all kinds of spreadsheets of stuff.
Great, thank you. I'm just cautious, we've got some comments in the chat. Sorry, it's taking me a while to read. Okay, if no one else has anything to add to this, I'll just copy over the notes from the chat. We can jump over to the next one, please, Elsa.
Yeah, and really great feedback in the chat as well. So thanks, everyone. We always scour this afterwards and, and pick up on things.
Okay, great. So our next one is, what are the key roles at a national level that we should be targeting and connecting with, and how do we reach them? So we're looking at national bodies, and yeah, has anyone got anything to add to that one?
I think we've got one or two NHS people on the call. It would be interesting to hear from them where in the NHS are the touch points.
Oh, hi, Sue Wilkinson here. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit on my phone. A few techie issues this morning, but I'm a commissioner.
Hi, Sue.
Hello. I'm a commissioner in NHS Leeds Clinical Commissioning Group, and I work as part of the primary care team there, but I commission social prescribing services. I've put a few comments in the chat, and I've met some of your colleagues as they were developing, you know, the various functionality and so on. So it's really nice to see that developing now and a bit more user friendly and so on. Obviously what you have got are the big changes going on, you know, in terms of our integrated care services. So it would be important to make sure that you're linking in, you know, at that level, as well as the changes at place level, you know, so talking about those that are leading West Yorkshire and Harrogate, etc., for my patch. So I'm sure you've got that in mind, but you know, in terms of the health services, that's where you'd be looking to make those sorts of contacts, really. And also, I've put your teams in touch with those that directly provide social prescribing services. So they're the people day to day, you know, that are making sure that, well, they're picking up information about what services are out there, and also need to be accessing that information quickly and easily as well. So there's been quite a long relationship, I think, with the social prescribers in Leeds and the organisations that provide that, you know, with Nick Parker and others on the team. So hopefully that's helpful. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you, Sue. Oh, we've got another comment in the chat. Shelley, do you want to add to that at all for discussion, or are you happy to leave it in the chat? Okay, no worries at all. If no one else has anything to add to this one, we'll skip on to the next one just so that we're okay for time. So our last one are software suppliers. So who and what are the key roles within software companies, and how do we reach them?
Maybe Ben, I'd be interested to hear, on the Essex side, I know you worked with FutureGov. On the Buckinghamshire side, you worked with FutureGov, for example. Was there any prior discussions beforehand, or was it really at the moment of tendering where you had that connection about the standard?
So I obviously appreciate others' views here as well. I'd say it depends on the type of technology company. Not all technology companies are the same. So the work with FutureGov, because there wasn't a standards compliant piece of software out there, we knew that influencing somebody who has an existing product to change it would take a very, very long time and would be quite hard to do. It'd be hard to demonstrate for them why it would be sensible to do that. So we knew we had to kind of create something effectively from scratch. So we went down that road. So we procured quite specifically to get a team around the problem who would design and build with this emergent standard in mind. And we made that a core part of the requirement. So in that sense, we worked hand in hand with the technical architects, with the software developers themselves, with the design team to kind of do this piece of work together. So obviously, if you're doing work that looks a bit like that, then those are some of the roles you would want to be talking to. I think there's the other side of this, though, for some of the existing players, there's a bit more of a hard-nosed element to this, actually, and you're going to need to probably speak to some of the senior folks, both on the technology side, but also on the sales and business development side as well, because at the end of the day, you know, this isn't altruism. These companies exist so that they can pay the bills and pay their staff. So we have to demonstrate to them that there's value here for them, that there is a market opportunity, that this is something that's not just worth pursuing to be an early mover, but actually if you don't start a plan for this, you might find yourself getting kind of pushed out of the market if you're not able to respond to the need as it grows. So yeah, you're definitely going to want to be speaking to some of the folks on the business side as well, to help work through you know, how this stacks up for them and make sure it looks like a compelling argument. In terms of how we reach them, I think between not least just a few of the folks on this call, I think we've got direct contacts with a lot of these software companies, and we can help make those introductions.
Great, thank you, Ben. Oh,
I agree with Ben, actually. So I've worked for software companies, and I think there was mention of software architects, and they often are the people who have, like, I guess, the most need for information early on, because they will have this sort of idea of the larger concept and the construct that is needing to be built, and they will collaborate with business analysts if there's any to sort of document those requirements. Just throwing in there.
thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to type away some notes as we go. There's been some more chat. I'm just having a quick read.
I think, Robin, if you don't mind, I think we might move on just so we have a bit more time for questions and wrap up. But
absolutely,
yeah, everything in the chat is golden. So thanks as always.
Thank you, everyone.
Mike, I think you've got a quick update before we open for questions.
Yeah, and I'll be brief because I think we rightly spent a lot of time on that last section. I've got some really good feedback. The next slide you've seen before, which is the governance one, which is just shows what is detailed. If you can move on, Elsa, to a slide which shows we're proposing coming out of a workshop with various stakeholders, a lightweight board which cuts across sectors, so includes some of the family services people and health people, as well as local government people and people who know about standards such as the ODI. And then beneath that, operational and technical groups, and that's the way the LGA's loneliness project worked. And then routine commissioned support services to keep everything ticking over and to do the grunt work. And that link is to the document that came out of the workshop. We're still taking feedback on that. We've had some very useful feedback from people in the United States who do similar things there, and from the LGA, who are used to overseeing such groups, particularly ones which are cross-sectoral, looking at social care, which I know Sue has raised a lot because that cuts between local government and health. But if you have any remaining comments on that document, we'd appreciate them in the next couple of days. And then if we move on from that to look at how we achieve that, this is all to do with going from a series of projects to an ongoing program and give people confidence that this isn't a passing thing, it's there forever. And there are the support mechanisms in place. So along the bottom of that slide is things that we envisage happening routinely forever in terms of maintenance and basic support and moderation of the forum and the like. And then up at the top, we've got some specific activities initially in what we're calling the long tail of this project through to July, taking the live site and seeing how it works, gathering further case studies and helping early adopters. And also during that period, defining in more detail and setting up terms for longer term adoption. And at midterm, we would see us as doing a formal version upgrade of the standard from feedback we've got so far, and that's something we positively, decided to exclude from the beta work, and defining the full scope of how we will kick off long-term operation when the board takes over. And obviously, we're setting about looking at what resources they need, where it can be funded to get us into that long-term situation where hopefully then it's sustaining in the sense that the public and private bodies who benefit from it provide the funding to provide the routine maintenance along with the community of volunteers that we've built up in the interim. So if you've got any feedback on that, please email the group or me. Thanks.
Well, thanks, Mike. So last part now, we've talked a lot. We talked about the website that we've been working on, showcasing some designs, our strategies for reaching out to potential adoptees of the standard at the different levels, local, national, and from the software supplier side. And then we've given a bit of an update on governance. So if you have any questions on our work and on those areas that we covered today, please feel free to use the chat or unmute yourself. I guess it would be great to just know from those who haven't spoken yet, like what made you come to this show and tell today, and kind of what are you hoping to see from this project?
Hi, Sue Wilkinson again. I have already spoken. However, I'd love to see this develop because, there is just such a lot of inefficiency built into the current way of doing things. And, we do need to see a much more consistent approach. And it just releases, if we get this right, it releases time, doesn't it, for really busy people at the front line. And it also connects the services that people actually need because we can access that information much, much more quickly. And it's accurate and up to date and all the rest of it. So I'm just really pleased to see it all developing. So thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Great, yeah, and thanks for hi Charlotte. Nice to hear from you, Shelley, everyone. So just to quickly close off, feel free to keep chatting, of course. But there's 3 actionable things we would love to have you involved with or to spread the word to others who might be good candidates for these. So one is taking part in research or helping us recruit others. Of course, we've done a lot, but we really would like more participants for the final 2 weeks of our building and testing, especially so we can get some more detailed feedback on some of the newer parts of the website. So steps to adoption and some of the more detailed pieces. Contributing a case study, we're reaching out to some of you, we've spoken to some of you already, but this is a huge part in increasing trust in the standard and helping potential organizations see how to adopt and what the pitfalls are. And then the third one, this is a new one, is to register. Oh yeah, I need to share all this packet of links. Is to register your involvement with us. So we're looking to increase trust in the standard and in the project. And by doing so, we want to showcase all of the people we've been talking to and who are working on either considering adopting the standard or let me grab the chat. yeah, we'd like to show everyone that's involved in this big project. So let me grab the chat window and share a packet of links here. There's many ways for you to get involved with us, and there's also our mailing list, and our final show and tell will be in 2 weeks. So that's where we'll kind of wrap up and share the final website and our work. So yes, please please follow all of those links, and thank you for taking part, everybody, today. Yeah, I think that's us. I think, oh,